Good morning. Is Hebrew a spiritual and mystical language? Let's dig a little deeper and find out. Now, saying the Hebrew language itself contains contains the power of Yahweh is like saying my wedding ring contains the power of the love of my wife. My wife. This ring is not the one ring to rule them all and bind my marriage. It's just a ring. It's symbolic. It represents my love for my wife, but does not actually contain the love of my wife. So language, the Hebrew language itself, does not contain mystical powers or spiritual powers or anything like that. There was a time where people did think that, both Jewish and Christian, especially during certain parts of the Middle Ages. And some people even now believe that. I love the Hebrew language. The script flows with tongues of flame that beckon me as a Westerner to explore its exotic secrets. Just think about it. People spoke this language thousands of years ago, before even the letters we use in our language were formed. I studied Hebrew in college, but only remember basic knowledge of its mechanics. You may have seen posts flying about on the internet that claim that Hebrew is a spiritual or special language. It has qualities that, if spoken in the right way, will grant mystical powers, almost like magic. So let's uncover 3 reasons why Hebrew is not this. It's not a spiritual or mystical language. Especially being able to conjure things up. Speaking Hebrew does not conjure mystical power. Number 1, even saying the name of God, even saying the name that God gave himself, does not convey mystical power. God warns us not to take his name in vain, not because he wants us to limit its use. To keep it away, to prevent us from conjuring things up or anything like that, or making it say, hey, you should only use this power very sparingly. It's like fire. It has potency, but can only be used in certain occasions because you'll catch your house on fire if you say the name of God. No, but it has power in terms of its authority, and limiting the use of his name engenders respect and prevents abuse by those who claim to seek his authority. It's sort of like, not quite to this level, but if you have a business and you want to limit the use of a copyrighted name or a symbol, trademark of the company, you would want to make sure, hey, you put legal restrictions on that. So if somebody goes ahead and uses your logo, I say, whoa, 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 whoa. You're not to represent me that way. And so this was in the same way. Now you can look at some of my previous live streams where I've dealt with how the name Yahweh has kind of been taken to mean different things. Like there's specifically a breathing techniques using for that. So I have 2 different live streams out for that. One is 3 reasons why Yahweh is not the breath of God, and who started the meme Yahweh is the breath of God. So number 2, that was number 1, is speaking Hebrew does not conjure mystical powers. The second thing is writing Hebrew does not conjure mystical powers. So the idea was either I could say it, or if I speak it, mystical powers just by speaking the name. Well, if I call, let's look at just names in general. If I were to call my wife's name, I can make things happen. If I call her and then I follow it with "I love you," and it's a very intimate moment, it's nice. Good things happen. If it's 3 a.m. and I scream her name, bad things can happen. So it depends on, yes, there is power in that name, but it's in the meaning of the name and not the syllables or the way it's spoken like that instead. So here we have different uses of the name of Yahweh, but you cannot, writing Hebrew does not conjure mystical powers. On the other hand, there was a time, like I said, in the Middle Ages, where there was this book of creation that was written by some Hebrew, I believe it was by Hebrew mystics, the Sefer Yetzirah. The Sefer Yetzirah. People make fun of the way I pronounce things. I think it's entertaining. So go ahead and hit me up with any comments. You think I'm making fun if I'm mispronouncing something? I'm not. That's how they actually spoke it. Okay, so that contains the instructions. This book of creation contains instructions on how to make a golem. And this is not Gollum from Lord of the Rings, this former hobbit turned, yes, he's corrupted by the Ring of Power. We're not talking about that. This is something that's totally different. It was an animated humanoid, mostly made out of mud. You create this, and then it's created by a mystic to do simple tasks, sort of like a robot. I'm going to throw an image up on the screen. This is actually a Prague golem. This was, I think it's in a museum. But here's an idea. You can see it's almost formed out of mud. But the thing to animate this, the way that you are going to animate it, make it come alive. You shape it out of mud. Then you write the letters. I'm going to throw this up on the screen so you can see it. It's Aleph, Mem, Tet, pronounced Emet, which means truth in Hebrew. You write that on the golem's forehead. It comes alive, and you can have it do simple tasks for you. I wish this was true. That would be really cool. I would have all sorts of golems running around, making things, doing things for me, simple tasks around the house or whatever. But then if you erase the Aleph, and then it would spell Met, which means death in Hebrew. The golem returns to mud. So this is almost a mechanic. It's like a button. You put these letters, these magical letters on here, and it comes to life. Truth, Emet, it comes to life. And then you erase the first letter, and then it dies, or at least life comes out of it. And you can almost see where that kind of thinking kind of developed, because God created Adam out of dust, breathed into him. And the breathing is, well, you can say a word, you're breathing. You're aspirating when you speak. And so writing it down instead, that was the idea. It doesn't work. I have a series of 14 golems, mud pies sitting in the back of my house. No. It doesn't. You can try it, but then the cleaning bill is on you. I have nothing to do with that. So number 3, the Hebrew letters themselves do not contain spiritual value. So the letters themselves written, we talked about writing like the name of God and stuff like that, how they spell that, writing and then speaking that. There's no mystical power in that. And then finally, the letters, the individual letters themselves. This was something else that was said, that you have a 4 staffed sheen. The sheen is one of the letters. It's sort of like almost looks like a W type of character. But then if you add a 4th one, okay, now it has mystical powers. And the Kabbalists claim that Hebrew itself, the Hebrew language, is eternal, that it existed before the earth. And the letters themselves contain holiness and power. Here's another example. I'm going to throw this up here. Both the letter, this is the letter Het. And I put it both in its modern script and then a more classical script. This is the letter Het. And it's a traditional symbol for life. It's sort of like shorthand for writing life. It does not, if you were to read this, just this letter by itself does not say life in Hebrew, but just the letter traditionally means life. And ironically, it also means sin. It's the sign of transcendence and divine grace, pointing to the possibility of humans can transcend limitations in existence. Now, this is the extended claim that what this means. That you can just shorthand write some things down: life, sin. But then the Kabbalists, a sect of Judaism, were to say that this is also a sign that transcends. That is transcendent and contains itself divine grace. So this is according to a way of thinking called the language of light. Neither the Christians nor traditional or Orthodox Judaism, not the Christian Bible or the Jewish Bible, say these letters contain any specific power. There's nothing written in Scripture that says if you write these things down, there's something will happen, or there's power in them. The power is in the message they convey. Just like what we use here, our own letters and words is how you put them together. You only have 26 letters of the English language, but from those 26 letters, you can create something as bad as, the Communist Manifesto or the works of Shakespeare, just from those letters. And it's in the meaning of those letters that are put together, and not somehow a mystical way of mystical quality of the letters, or even speaking them. It's in the message. So I'm going to check to see. Nope. So tomorrow we will be looking at diving into, next Tuesday, we'll dive into the power of the Hebrew language in the messages it conveys in the Old Testament and Tanakh. So today we looked at it's not a spiritual language, it's not a mystical language, but on Tuesday we'll talk about how Hebrew is a special language. And tomorrow we'll be back to time travel again. And we're going to talk about, this will be a public service announcement. We'll dive deep into the topic, how to time travel and not kill your grandfather. This is a very important message. Anybody who's time traveling now, buckle up and be sure to watch this video. It could save your grandfather's life.